Well, it's been a pretty exciting day so far for the purchasing of vinyl records. A little bit unexpected bonuses as well today. So I've spent pretty much the whole afternoon of this Saturday looking and listening for all of the new acquisitions. So the day started off pretty exciting. I've got quite a few records on order and in the mail, and a couple of them arrived this morning. First up, before I managed to actually even get out the door, the first one, Soweto by Dollar Brand, Abdullah Abraham. So this guy is a South African pianist. For those who aren't familiar, he actually left South Africa quite a while ago for obvious reasons, but he's pretty well known around the world nowadays. But this album's from 1976. Now, I came across this album on a blog site a while back, a few years ago, and was so impressed with it, and unfortunately hadn't really been able to find a copy, and I didn't know about Discogs at the time, and so I purchased this off Discogs for a reasonable price, and it's turned up today, and it's every bit as good as I remember it being. I had a whole hard drive full of rare and obscure records that I had found on blog sites over the last few years, but unfortunately they're all gone now. A, because I had far too many that I couldn't ever listen to them all, and B, was that the quality of MP3s is not something I'm interested in playing, especially through this rig. And 3, I had a bit of a hard drive crash and lost most of them anyway, so I don't tend to do much with MP3s nowadays. So I was pretty excited for that to come in the mail this morning. And the other one, if I can find it, is, where is it? Not very organised today, am I? Here we go. And the other one that turned up today was something that I saw on one of James Buttery's videos. James, thank you for the recommendation for this. This is a New Zealand music compilation from Fish Rider Records down in Dunedin, and it's a whole bunch of, well, it says underground pop, Dunedin underground, psych pop. It's pretty flying nun influenced, which is pretty hard to get away from in New Zealand. Yeah, no, this is really good. I'm very impressed. I won't go through the details. There's quite a lot of paraphernalia that came inside it for a good price, but James has already been through that with his copy. But thank you, James, for your recommendation, and I'm really enjoying this. So that arrived this morning. I'd actually already downloaded the free download FLAC that came with it when I brought it off Bandcamp, and I had been listening to it, but it actually does sound a lot better on vinyl than through the headphones with the download, even though it is CD quality. So I'm wrapped with that. That came this morning here in the mail. So got those first up before I walked out the door, and then I was actually heading in to do some chores, and I had some records that had been put aside for me in a shop in town, and I decided to go and pick them up. They were going to send them out to me for a fee, but I decided to, yeah, because I'd actually seen them on their website. So they emailed me, and I said I'll come and pick them up. So the ones that I had ordered, first of all, another compilation record, one that I had many years ago. This one here, Oi Oi, That's Your Lot, Secret Records. This is the 4th volume. I never actually saw any of the other volumes, not even sure if there's any around. So yeah, I really liked this record when I had it, but to be honest, listening to it again, side 1 is pretty rubbishy really. It's some oi punk, you know. It's not particularly that great. Oh, there's a Black Flag track on the end here, which is interesting. I'm not sure how that kind of ended up on a compilation like this. But the side that interests me is actually side 2, and there's some pretty interesting and stupid songs. So there's a song called Attila the Stockbroker does a great wee comedy song called Willie Whitelaw's Willie, and then there's the Belle of Snodland Town by Judge Dredd, which is kind of like a really cool dubby reggae type track, which is actually, and it's really quite cool. It's pretty silly. The lyrics are pretty silly, but yeah, interesting compilation. Kind of cool to have it again. Didn't cost me too much. The other two albums that were quite interesting to me that they had there was, first of all, well, this guy. What a cool name, Morton Subotnick. So this is an original. Probably the only way you can buy this is on original, because I don't think it was ever reissued on anything from what I've seen. But it's a No.6 Silver Series from 1981. So this is compositional music. So there's some standard normal type instruments like a cello on the first track, trombone, piano on the second track, and what he does is treats them with what he calls ghost electronics, and the electronics are the music's played through a tape and the electronics are then applied to it in some way. I haven't read through all the notes. As usual with this sort of stuff, the notes are quite highbrowed and intellectual, and if you're not really a musician, it's probably not all that easy to follow them, for me anyway. But had a listen to this today, and it's pretty impressive. It's not quite what I was expecting actually. Yeah, there's lots, not quite as plinkety plonkety as I was expecting, and it's actually good. It's actually better. So I'm quite impressed to have that. That's cool to have in my collection. And then the other one of his, so he had two Morton Subotnick records. So this is A Sky of Cloudless Sulphur and After the Butterfly. So there's two, and like the other album, there's two extended pieces, one on each side, and it's the same sort of thing really. It's you know, ghost electronics with the first track, A Sky of Cloudless Sulphur, is basically him on the synthesizers and noodling around electronic. And then the next one is there's a 20th Century Players, and there's several of them, and then again it's ghost treated. So the records the covers are pretty good, Nick. They're nice and solid. There's not a lot of damage to them at all. The vinyl is very, very clean looking, although it has got a bit of surface noise and scratching, in which I mean, not excessively, but enough to be a little bit annoying, because there's quite a lot of quiet passages on this stuff. But I'm really rapt to have those. I mean, it's not something I've ever had before or never explored before. I do have a track or two of his off the CD compilations of electronic anthology of electronic noise, which I've got a few volumes of that. So while I went to pick them up at the shop, I was having a quick browse, as you do, and I happened to come across a couple of other records which I was sort of looking. Oh, there were several records that I was interested in, but I ended up going with these two in the end, and I'm really glad I did. So you'll probably see me flash this around if you've been taking any notice on Facebook today. So first one, so Anthony Brixton. So I picked up this album. Again, it's pretty good, Nick. I mean, there's a bit of ring wear on it, and there's a crease in the corner. There's no major damage. And again, the albums themselves look very, very clean. No major scratches, although was it the other one? One of them had a little bump on it, which was a manufacturing defect, so it's always been like that. But there was no major scratches in that, so they play pretty well. So yeah, this is a fantastic album actually. I really enjoyed it. So I was chatting with Roger a wee bit, Roger Coleman, on the Facebook when I posted these up, and he's an big Anthony Brixton fan. So I had a little chat to him, and I ended up watching his video that he did on Anthony Brixton earlier this year. And the second one, a double LP of solo saxophone music that he did in 1979, so gatefold. The sleeves a bit more creased and a bit more ring wear on this, but again the vinyl is very, very clean. Well, it looks very clean. Again, there's a few crackles and pops in it. These are, as far as I can tell, these are pretty much original copies, because having a quick look on the internet, I don't think they were ever reissued in any form, apart from I think Roger said there was a new CD box set that collected all these recordings together. But no, really rapt to have these. I'm not, a bit like Roger said in his video, the solo stuff, you know, it's not that easy to sit around with, but I'll tell you what, there's some quite impressive moments on here, you know, when you sort of like, wow, you know, how do they do that, and that's really well done. So, and I can see a lot of John Zorn was influenced quite a lot by Anthony Brixton from memory of his interviews that he said, and it's a name that's come up for him, and so I think he's quite familiar, so you can certainly pick up a bit on that there. So yeah, I'm really rapt to have those. Well, yes, and then this one here, I actually popped into the warehouse because I was picking up some ink for my printer, and I shot across the road to the other warehouse and picked up the latest Fat Freddy Drop album, which I'd seen on the internet, and I was humming and hawing about getting it. And yeah, it's still, it's a double album, although it's, well, there's not that many, there's only 9 songs, so there's a gatefold there. Fat Freddy is a, for those who don't know, is a New Zealand kind of electronica dub reggae type band, roots music they get called sometimes here, not like Americana roots, but you know, yeah, and it's pretty bloody good as usual. I mean, Fat Freddy are good all the way through. I mean, I've got everything except for their last album before this one, which had slipped by me because I've been distracted with other things. But no, really rapt to have that, and that is a great addition to my collection. So that, I think, is pretty much, yeah, my collection for the day. So I'm really rapt that I had that. I got all of that, and I've had a great day listening to it, and there is not a dud amongst them. So yeah, some pretty good scores, especially for some blind buys pretty much. The other week I popped into town and did a shop at the other record emporium that we have in Christchurch, left in Christchurch, and it was a bit of a disappointing haul, to be honest. I got some ECM Pat Metheny's. Unfortunately, I got a Japanese pressing of one of them, but it's got a lot of crack. It's not surface noise, it's that distortion that you get when the music's playing on a worn record. So when the guitar's playing and it's got all that distortion mixed in with it, and it's pretty annoying. So I'm not happy about that. And the other 2 albums I've had a quick blast with, but I'm not particularly a great fan of Metheny's music, to be honest, what I've heard of it. I was really impressed with the John Zorn collaboration he did on one of the volumes of the Book of Angels, the Masada Project, Book 2, and that was really good, which was last year I think it was. But anyway, but one thing I did pick up in the shop was an album that I'd had floating around and been playing on Tidal for a while, and this is this lady, Courtney Barnett. Sometimes I sit and think, and sometimes I just sit. This is an Aussie chick. She's kind of like punky pop, post-punky pop. Yeah, there's some good stuff. She's just a young girl. She's the lyrics are all sort of environmental, slightly political, and just observational, really. But yeah, no, really cool. Good wee album. Highly recommend it, and I've been enjoying that. Yeah, like I say, I've only spun this a couple of times, but of course I've been listening to it on Tidal and on my phone and stuff. So yeah, really cool. So I think that's all of it for now. So another wee vinyl update. There's still quite a few records coming from Discogs in the mail, and there's some pretty impressive ones, especially one I'm really excited about getting my hands on, and I hope it's the one I want, that I think it is. Sometimes the editions that you get aren't quite what you expect sometimes if the information's not right. But anyway, so they'll be coming in the next couple of weeks, and I'll do a video about that, and then there's some more coming for my birthday, which is next month. So yep, we're looking forward to all of that. So hope you're all well. Thank you.